Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second installment of Chain Lightning. Apparently, during U.S. political debates, some people drink, some people live tweet, and what I've elected to do is science, mad science, attempting to recreate a 6-0 run with a head scratcher of a deck. So I put a poll out on Twitter earlier in the week to see what goofy collection of cards I'd be playing with this time. And there were a couple of decks that looked like the one I played last week. If you watched that video, I was playing a no sideboard kind of black-green starter deck sort of thing. What you might expect to see if an AI had watched 1,000 hours of people playing with pre-constructed decks, try to put one together itself. There's another category of deck that showed up in the arena deck dumps, namely the meme decks, and that's what I'm playing today. We are playing Sanctums. So there are a couple of weird card choices here, but basically the shell of the deck is a bunch of Sanctums, including Sanctum of All. So Sanctum of All doubles all of our shrine triggers already, but we can potentially get an even extra copy of it with Lithoform Engine. Note that I can't copy the actual permanent spells because these are all legendary, so that would not go so well, but I can copy their triggered abilities. My way of keeping the opponent off balance is 12 bound spells, 4 Stern Dismissal, 4 Brazen Borrower, 4 Into the Royal. And then we have a couple of sweepers as well. Dance of the Dance could potentially put the whole combo right back onto the battlefield if our shrines are somehow answered. The mana base is a sexy one of each temple. 4, but not all 5 Triomes. One of the non-blue Triomes is not getting played. Note that, also looking at the sideboard, most of the cards here are blue. Also 4 Cancel instead of Neutralize. Okay, we'll run with it. If we get a Cancel rotting in our hand, then I'll shake my fist. And the Miser's Shark Typhoon. Who knows? Maybe this is awesome. We're about to find out. So this deck purportedly won 6 straight games on the Platinum ladder. We're going to try to take it for a spin on the Silver ladder. Maybe I can pick up a couple of extra pips from where I was trying to rank up after the month reset. Here we go. Welcome to match 1. We have won the die roll. Let's see what we got. Tri-land, a land that produces a color other than the tri-land. Bounce spells. Well, we put bounce spells in our deck, didn't we? All right, the Fabled Passage is looking like it's going to have to find white mana at some point. I think I want to just try to find a way to make land drops. There's our white mana. That is also land number 4, which is relevant in that it gives us the ability to play something on curve. So we might need to save it if the goal is to play the Sanctum on turn 4. Oh, sorry, on turn 5. I realized that this choice of playing lands did not let me leave up Stern Dismissal this turn, but if I get Wind Robbered, I get Wind Robbered. It's not a lot that I'm really afraid of on turn 1. Looks like we could be playing against either some kind of mill control or against rogues. And it doesn't really settle the question, does it? Okay, Rogren Triome. Now, our lands do produce all 5 colors. We just need to make sure that they don't fail to overlap. So right now I can make like white, green, black or something. I guess let's see, white and black I already said. So with the lands that I can see right now, it's fine. We can make black, white, red, blue. I think that I want the Fabled Passage to go find green, and then I would be able to play the Sanctum of All. Yeah, you can hit me. Milling Basics would be frustrating. Milling Sanctums doesn't matter because the Sanctum of All does let me go find cards out of my graveyard. I can search my library and or graveyard for a shrine card. Do I want to just fire off a Stern Dismissal or Into the Royal? I guess I kind of do, but I guess I don't really need to. Let's just stay on plan here. Another Into the Royal. Okay, now we're going to just start firing these things off. Willy and potentially nilly. I guess leaving the End of the Royal on top is kind of committing me to bounce both of their spells, or both of their Wind Robbers, which is like pretty low EV play. Okay, fine. You know what? Just let End of the Royal go. The only way that this could go really poorly for me is if the second card down is my one basic forest. No, it's the fourth End of the Royal. All right. We also managed to avoid getting Zareth Sand, which is pretty good. Though we have a bunch of bounce spells, so I don't mind if they were to put one of our permanents into play under their control. The card that I'm afraid of is Drown in the Loch, and actually now I'm seeing that I played right into it, so that's kind of awkward. I put the fifth card in my graveyard for no reason. So here you go. Go ahead and drown this. Jawari Disruption. All right, that was not Drown in the Loch. Replay Wind Robber. We're on 6, so these are almost crackable now. And now 7. Another Sanctum. All right, so there's one left in the deck, but we also have a Dance of the Manse that we can potentially find. Let's go ahead and start with the Sanctum. That resolves. Then you may go. Just cast a Brazen Borrower. I don't blame you. This seems like a relatively miserable matchup for the expensive cards in my deck. Good one for Pestilent Haze. That's the card that I most want to draw right now. I do have the mana for it. We mill 2. I don't really want to take 5, but I also don't want to bounce the Brazen Borrower, let them mill 2 more, and give them the excuse to petty theft me. Alright, all lands. And they're ready to find something to do, like that. My basics situation is so flimsy that I feel like I should probably fetch sooner rather than later. I'm going to get Island when I've what's essentially double blue spells in my hand. We draw a Temple. We'll take our redraw and discard Swamp, I guess. Putting something on top is pretty meaningless against this deck.
Should we be destroying all non-giant creatures here?
Yeah, I think we're going to try. It's not like I can really play around anything at this point. Like, Drown is active. I guess we managed to play around Jawari Disruption. Okay.
Not sacking the second one?
No, that was a Brazen Borrower. They already sacked the other one.
My bad.
And no, like, Soaring Thought Thief on end step or anything either. So they're just going to play out the Jawari Disruption. I will draw and discard, I guess, an Into the Royal, because I can go land Realm Cloak Giant here and then hold up the Stern Dismissal. Into the Story resolves. You can't say my opponent doesn't have cards. Agra Mauling enters the battlefield tapped. Yep. There goes a green Sanctum. Well, we're all set up for Dance of the Manse if we draw it. I mean, we're going to get Drowned in the Loch for sure, but we're all set up. We now have the Sanctum of All, as well as a blue one and a green one. I mean, we can get the second blue one back, Legend, roll the one that's in play, and keep a 4/4. I can't even do anything cute because the Thieves Guild Enforcer has flash. So if they put another rogue on the stack, I can't like bounce it to avoid getting milled. They can just recast it immediately. Draw green Sanctum. Discard Fabled Passage. I also can't attack with this Realm Cloak Giant very easily, can I?
Was that thing of death touch?
Yes.
And flash.
Yes. Spending 2 cards to do 7 damage to my opponent doesn't seem particularly relevant. They're just going to drown my 7/7 in the lock. Oh, well, sure. That did take the black mana away from their ability to cast the Thieves Guild Enforcer back out onto the battlefield. All right, Sanctum number 2. So that will power up our draw step. We'll now draw 3, discard 1 each turn, which feels a little bit better. Play a Pathway. Yep, Enforcer. I'm on 29, 28, 27 now. Stern Dismissal, Lithoform Engine. Goodbye. I don't want you. There's the Thought Thief. I've been waiting for that. Brazen Borrower, White Sanctum. Is it even good to bounce one of these? It just gives them 2 more cards worth of mill. All right, let's draw. So I can put the red Sanctum onto the battlefield. If I have any lands left over, we can start throwing bolts, which feels quite good. Like, I'm not interested in Stern Dismissal. I would like to put 3 red in my mana pool and put this on the stack. Yeah, read it and weep, opponent.
How many cards are left in your library?
I still have 22. And I think we just pass. And step into the story. Yeah, my bounce spells don't do anything about that. Some number of these spells should beat main deck negates. I can't believe I'm playing 4 Stern Dismissals.
Should you just...
I'm going to blast the... Well, I mean, I think no matter what I do, I'm going to get milled for 2 here. Or I could just take 4 extra damage. I don't really care about my life total that much against this deck. They don't have any way to, like, cheese me out. I think I kind of just want to kill the thing that's going to make me mill. The danger here is that they could have responded with Petty Theft to bounce one of my Sanctums, and then that wouldn't have gotten the job done, which would have been pretty frustrating. So maybe it was the better play to kill the 3/2, or at the time 4/2. Here's Zareth San, which does not bother me at all. So I actually have 2 different lines here. I could just let Zareth San hit me and let them get back something, which I then Petty Theft. Or I could just Petty Theft the Zareth San right now. I guess I'm just going to Petty Theft the Zareth San right now.
It's close.
If they get back, like, a blue Sanctum, which I think would make the most sense. I mean, they could get back a Lithoform Engine as well. Yeah, okay. I mean, either way that was going to happen, right? If I had just let them hit me and then go after the spell that they choose, then it's the same result. They find a Realm Cloak Giant, sure.
Oh no, you can't kill that.
I can't cast that off, though, because it only destroys non-giant creatures. Draw. So I need to find Sanctum so that I can double smash it. Take action. I find a Pestilent Haze, a Shark Typhoon, and a Plains. I do have 2 lands, but I mean, each thing only does 3, so that's not good enough. That's why I was saying I had to find a Sanctum so that I could throw some bolts.
Well, you can Pestilent Haze and double bolt it.
That is true, and I guess that's what I'm going to do. So I'll discard Realm Cloak Giant.
Then they still get to hit.
With Zareth San again, which doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess I can use the Shark Typhoon to stop that. I mean, then they just get the Realm Cloak Giant back again. So like this only is a temporary answer.
Right, but we're at 7, so it's not like we can just not answer it.
Yeah. Now my Shark Typhoon is actually for 4, so they probably have some way to interact, but if they don't, then or I could take the super greedy line of just cycle it right now, hold 1 mana up, and hope that I cycle into a land or Sanctum to kill it while it's a 2/2. I would have hit another Realm Cloak Giant. So, okay, that was a good decision on my part, apparently. We can use some retrospective thinking. I don't want to pass the blockers yet. I want to cycle this for 4. And if they have any interaction here, then I am just dead to 7 damage, huh? So what would I have drawn? If it's a land or a Sanctum, I could have killed the Thieves Guild Enforcer and forced the game to go on for another turn. Though I don't know how I'm getting out of this. Yeah, I didn't play that one great. But I also had
that you could win that.
I also had Stern Dismissal in my deck. I want to be able to fight over their Drown in the Locks. I feel like Black Sanctum is capable of doing some work otherwise, like to deal with their creatures. I feel like Sublime Epiphany is where I want to be ever. Like, under what circumstances do I want to copy a creature I control? It seems pretty rare in this deck. I could just bring in fire. Maybe Haze is just better. It clears up some of the little creatures. I'm expecting to get crabbed this game, though. Okay, if I make that assumption, then I probably do want the fire. Okay, let's do this. Here we go with game 2. Maybe I was supposed to cut one of these stupid Realm Cloak Giants. Are we just on team draw some lands? Like, double Realm Cloak Giant here is so bad, though. I'm going to ship it. That feels so much better. I just can't imagine a 5-mana Wrath is going to accomplish very much. But at the same time, where do I think that this hand is going? I'm going to pitch it anyway. Playing white Sanctum on turn 1 sounds appealing, but I just need to see.
Ooh.
We have a plan.
Now having played white Sanctum on turn 1 sounds even more appealing.
Yeah, but I think this is still fine because now I can go black Sanctum into white Sanctum, hold up to negate.
Yeah.
One thing that I do like about the arena experience is that we do get to watch our opponents read our crappy cards. Doesn't quite have the same appeal as someone like reaching over the table to pick up the card to figure out what the heck it is, but it's still nice. I mill a Temple of Malady and draw red, the red Sanctum. That should be quite good. So let's put this onto the battlefield and hope that they feel like they need to interact with a Petty Theft this turn that they can't then fight over. Sure, I go to 18, get milled twice. Green Sanctum, Lithiform Engine. Well, Green Sanctum would have been nice. Sure. So I can fetch red. There's only the one mountain. We could have gotten blown out there by the mill. Then just go ahead and hit this thing for 3. Go. Unfortunately, we've only managed to find one white source. So even though this Sanctum of Tranquil Light is getting cheaper and cheaper, right now it's 3 mana to tap something, we're not at the point where another Sanctum is necessarily going to give us the ability to double tap. They put a Jawari Disruption on the battlefield? Yeah, and mill us too. Well, now we just hope that our clock is faster than theirs. This is kind of all that our hand did. If we draw lands, we're going to have to make a decision as to whether or not we want to play them. Because each land we draw from for the rest of the game is a, not quite a lightning bolt, but it bolts a creature at least. Forest and Soulseer. We draw Sanctum of All. Intriguing. Let's just keep that one in our back pocket. If we draw a green source, we could put it on the battlefield. Though we've lost the basic forest. So Fabled Passage can no longer fetch green, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I think we just keep getting planked. They have 7 turns to finish us off. And we also do have the ability to throw some fire. Shattered Heights, whatever it's called. Soulseer Temple, okay. And a Realm Cloak Giant. I'm very happy I'm not drawing that card. Bless you. I'll untap and drain you for 3 and play the green source that I was hoping to find. And it doesn't matter if this card gets milled, because again, Sanctum finds things from the graveyard, so I guess we just leave that on top and let them mill it.
Sorry. What? I can't help sneezing. I'm allergic to...
Ooh, we found a negate target. I like that we've seen the green Sanctum now. That seems quite good for us. They're going to Zareth San us. If they do, they can get a Realm Cloak Giant, which would probably be pretty bad. But there's not much that I can do about that, is there? Like, I can chuck this for 3, but that's not exciting. I think this is all still okay. They put a Realm Cloak Giant onto the battlefield, which will obviously speed up their clock. But they're not going to kill me next turn. And if I put the Sanctum of All on the battlefield, first of all, that would give me the ability to potentially kill it with any future Sanctum. And I can also just start tapping this thing with the Sanctum of Tranquil Light. There's nothing else relevant in my graveyard. So I think we just say, yeah, you got a Realm Cloak Giant. The next best thing in my graveyard is a green Sanctum or a Lithoform Engine. I don't know how much use they're going to make of that. Unfortunate that I don't have one more in play, huh? Because when the Sanctum sees all 5 of the monocolored Sanctums, it double triggers. I'm like 1 short of just 12ing my opponent right here. So I'll have to make a decision between whether I want to just put the green one into play from the battlefield or go find a blue one from my library this turn. I don't really see the difference. I guess putting a green one on the battlefield would then produce a bajillion mana. Like I could Shark Typhoon.
But putting a blue one would let you draw a bunch of cards, which could be lands, which you could then use.
Yeah, that's got to be better. That's got to be better. You're absolutely right. Okay, so they're just going to unload to try to find something else to get back with Zarathan, and I regret to inform you that there's nothing else in my deck. You found one of my 2 Realm Cloak Giants. How lucky.
But if we don't kill them next turn, aren't we just going to die?
Well, we'll burn that bridge in a minute.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to tap the 7/7, and then they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 damage or something.
Sure.
And I'm going to gain some life. So I'm not actually...
and we can potentially block something with a Shark Typhoon.
Yeah. So we'll have a Shark, we'll have a tap, and we'll have them on the precipice. Yeah. They can get back a Shark Typhoon next turn if Zarathan hits me again, which is kind of funny. So yeah, their choices are Lithoform Engine and Green Sanctum. They're actually going to get a Ketria Triumph.
Wow, it's any permanent?
It's any permanent, yeah.
Wow.
I will search my library, and I think we have come to the correct decision that I should just get this. Draw Brazen Borrower. That's got to be pretty good.
That is good.
Then I will let both of these triggers go in the stack, drain for 5, and draw 5 cards.
Nice.
I think it's fine for me to discard Sanctum of Calm Waters, or even the other Sanctum of All. Like, they can't make use of that. I don't have the green in play, the green Sanctum in play, but I now have 2 bounce spells, so it's possible that I'm just supposed to fire them off here. I'm at 13 life. Oh, discarding one of the Sanctums was pretty poor, wasn't it?
Why?
Because I can chuck them.
Yeah.
I have 2 chucks plus the Petty Theft or an Into the Royal. That should...
And a tap.
The tap costs 1. 5 white, tap target creature. The tap only costs 1. So I actually have, like, I have it all.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we can just let our opponent take their turn. And then the other thing you have to worry about with this deck is whether you can actually do all the stuff you're supposed to do. Single white is a tap. And then, yeah, so this should be fine. Pass to attackers. No thanks. First tap this. Now they're only showing 9 points of offense. You may attack. I'm not going to let you... Well, actually, no, if they have another Zareth Sand, I can't really stop them from doing some ninja madness. So let's just go ahead and... it doesn't really matter. Let's bounce this. And then I'm going to blast the Zareth Sand. And if they want to ninjutsu to put a Wind Robber into a Zareth Sand, I'll blast again. Discard Sanctum. And then no further actions. Okay, they don't have backup Zareth Sand. That's fine then. Go to 11. They mill me 2. I untap and I drain all of the life out of their bones.
Nice.
Into the story again. You can into the story. You have 2 mana left over. You have quite the board to answer. Even if they could bounce like the Sanctum of Stonekeep, like suppose they found a Brazen Borrower, I could just go get another one. Okay, they elect to go for Agadeem's Awakening to kill themselves.
Style points.
And we go to game 3. I don't think I'm changing anything here. Except maybe I take out Realm Cloak Giant since casting it is...
better for them than for us.
They've found some ways to put that into play, and we have not come close to doing that. So maybe we go -2 here and just add more counter magic. I mean, putting in double blue spells is pretty awkward with our mana base, but I guess I could see an Erebos' Intervention instead. That's probably better. Okay. Here we go, game 3. We have some red removal spells, and we have the ability to play a cancel if we really wanted to fetch blue, which I guess is okay. That would be a new color towards the Sanctum. I don't know. What am I hoping for? Incidentally, we did... Ooh, an untapped land. That's nice. Though not a land that increases the number of colors we have. I guess this can be a red source. That's fine. This can be a blue source. That's my black source. Here's a green on top of my deck, and I can fetch white. So we actually have all 5 colors on turn 5, based on the cards that we can see right now. I have nothing to hold up this turn, so let's just go ahead and scry again.
There's white.
There is white. The nice thing about taking this Temple of Triumph is that I would be able to fetch double blue if I wanted it. Okay, you know what? This is fine. We're just going to hope that Sanctum of All is a 1-card combo. And I'm actually going to play Swamp next turn with the intention of Soul Searing whatever their play is. I'm guessing a Thoughtseize. Just straight out Brazen Borrower? Wow, do I even care about that? I think that's fine. Actually, yeah, I'm not going to fight over it. I might end step Soulseer since I have a second one, and if it eats a counter spell, then that's even better because that's potentially clearing the path for the Sanctum of All. So I have to either play Temple of Triumph and then fetch green, or Temple of Abandon and fetch... Whoa! Well, I guess I don't really regret the Soul Seer, but that is an exciting card to draw. I'm going to just sandbag it for the moment. We don't have any reason to play it yet. And go with Soul Seer up. I mean, the one card that I can't Soul Seer and would rather cancel is, no, this is fine. This just resolves. I mean, if they want to take the Sanctum of All, I have 2 ways to kill the Kitesail Freebooter. The one card that I can't Soul Seer is Into the Story, but they're not on pace to cast that yet. I only have 1 card in my graveyard. They haven't done any of the incidental milling. This Kitesail Freebooter is presumably not long for this world. So I wonder what they intend to take here. Sanctum of Shattered Heights seems like it could be good. Especially since I have the 2nd shrine at least. So even though the Sanctum of All is kind of down the road a little bit. And I mean, it can't even get drowned in the lock right now, right? I'm not going to accidentally play into that again. They take the Soul Seer so that the Kitesail Freebooter survives this turn. So now the question is, do I want to play into Jawari Disruption? And I think the answer is that I can play this a little bit more slowly. So I'm going to put the green Sanctum onto the battlefield ahead of the red one, because playing the red one doesn't accomplish anything. Maybe I was supposed to play the Temple of Triumph. Like, I can't get Jawari Disruption right now. Okay, go. And now when I play the Sanctum of Shattered Heights, if it resolves, it's ready to go. I wonder if the opponent was hoping that I'd play into Jawari Disruption. Whoa! Okay, Nighthawk Scavenger, sure. Only a 2/3. There's not really many cards in my graveyard, right? And a Pilferer. That's cute.
What does that do?
It's basically a key to the city. So they can discard a card to make it unblockable. And when it becomes untapped, you can spend 2 to draw a card. Becomes untapped. It's the same as Key to the City. Okay, so they've given me the opening to play Sanctum of All. I'm kind of in for that. And it is a rogue, by the way. It's a spirit rogue, so it fits the deck. I'll untap, draw island. Interesting. So we're going to go with white here, I think. And then I can just cast it off the lands I currently have in play. I don't think I'm going to get Force of Willed. And then I'll put the Temple onto the battlefield. And we'll see what my opponent can do to mess with me. I do not want another green Sanctum. And go. So we will go fetch the blue one with the intention of potentially fueling up the red one that's in our hand, if we can help it. Another Nighthawk Scavenger. So they just appear to be on the aggro plan. That's fine.
Well, you took out all your wraths. So
yeah, but my goal was to try to lean on the red Sanctum, and it looks like that's where we're headed. So that feels kind of good. Though, oh, this is all fine. I also drew a negate, which is pretty sweet. We'll draw first. Draw 3. They have the ability to drown in the lock, but they don't have... They can only hit a 1-drop that way. Like, the fact that... Well, now they'll hit a true 2-drop, I guess. This turn might be pretty brutal for our opponent. I'm going to discard a Temple. I'm going to put 3 red mana in our mana pool, and I'm going to just blow up all their creatures.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is going to be rapid fire. Put this on the stack. I have Fabled Passage to go get another island if I need it. I have 1 island in my hand, but there are 2 in the deck. So I can fire 3 bolts right now if I wanted to. And each of them is 4 points of damage. I'm trying to figure out if I want the 3rd one. Like, do I kill all 3 of these? Or potentially also the Kitesail Freebooter? Maybe we start...
If you kill the Kitesail Freebooter, you get back...
the Soul Seer.
To kill something else.
That's right. So we'll start here, discarding Temple. Let's see what their plan is. Then I want to try to preserve cards in hand if I can, so I'm going to now Soul Sear this. We've turned on Drown in the Lock for our opponent, but that's okay. And they do have the Drown. Okay, that's fine. So let's go ahead and crack. I have a land drop to make still. For blue and negate, they're tapped out, so I'll negate the Drown. And then I'll play a land, pitch a land, and kill the other scavenger. Or maybe I just kill the stupid ghostly pilferer. And then that cuts them off cards a little bit. Like, this thing can't kill me individually. Then play land and shoot this down. So I didn't get to do it all, but I did a lot. We just pretty convincingly mowed some stuff down. And they're left with an X3 when I'm going to draw a bajillion cards next turn as well. This Thought Thief could easily grow this thing at least 1 point. Yeah, we hit an instant, so we'll take an extra. That's fine. Sanctum is going to search library for...
Nice to get the black one out.
Well, both the black one and the white one would do a lot of work on their battlefield.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the black one, though. We draw a negate, and we'll start the drain. I will draw 5 cards, please. I actually am not going to discard the Realm Cloak Giant. I've learned my lesson. Even though that card is just not good right now. So I'll discard into the Royal. I'll put a bunch of mana in my mana pool, and I'll blow up their cards. So shoot you down by discarding this. Opponent sees the writing on the wall, and we've got our first win. So we are 1-0, and we're well on our way.
To 6-0.
Well on our way to gold 4, but well on our way to 6-0. Is that where we're headed? Let's find out in a minute.
That was awesome.
Welcome back for match number 2. We are winning die rolls left and right. I mean, with the green source, I feel like the Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest will unlock this hand, but who knows what's on top of our deck. I think this one needs to get shipped. I asked for a green source to play a Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest, and I also like that there are 2 untapped lands here. If I can find some way to draw some action, I have the ability to sequence in the untapped lands. So right now my hand produces black, blue, green, white, red. I think we're going to just toss the Temple of Plenty since we have both the Forest and the Plains in our hand. And we'll start our scry game. Pestilent Haze. I can't keep that in the dark. Alright. Temple number 2. Find me something to cast. Stern Dismissal may or may not be good as well. Mountain. It probably would have been fine. Yeah, we're going to get robbed here. How surprised will they be when they like flip a Sanctum off the top of our deck? I guess mulliganing is pretty good tech against Robber of the Rich. The deck constructor put in all of these bounce effects. Presumably they were freaked out by a matchup like this one. White Sanctum. Okay, that's not nothing. It's not really much, but it's not nothing. I think we wait until the last moment for this Stern Dismissal. We'll see if the opponent wants to Torbrand us or Embercleave or something. And if not, I guess we just make them use as much mana as possible. I understand that I get shocked here, but I still think that that's worth it. Blue, black, red. Red, black, blue, green, white. So my hand does produce all 5 colors of mana. And if I were so fortunate as to draw a Sanctum of all right now, I would be able to cast it. But I would say so far we have drawn nothing. I mean, I kept 6 lands in a mana source, so like, what do you expect? Next turn we'll get to start double tapping, which feels good. Oh, I retract that. Now that I see how much mana was tapped. Somehow I thought that we were already down to it costing 3, but we're going to have to draw something to get to that state, huh? Now I get Embercleave? Yeah, okay. 3, 6, 8. So we're not dead yet, but I don't really know how we're getting out of this. Oh, okay. I retract that. I know how we're getting out of this. We're going to cast these things right off our shoulders. So we're still dead to this Bonecrusher Giant, which is still on the battlefield because cast off only destroys non-giant creatures. And I'm 1 mana short of activating Sanctum. So, okay. Well, that was about as poorly as it could go. Unlike the last matchup, the counter spells are not looking as enticing to me here. I don't mind the idea of removal spells of some sort, but I don't think I need negate specifically. I mean, we put 12 bounce spells in our deck with the hope of blowing out Embercleave activations and such. I like that this gains me life. I'll play a Soul Seer. Pestilent Haze, I guess, is okay against my opponent playing Akum Hellhound. This card looks super expensive. Alright, let's put the other Pestilent Haze back in. And I don't think I'll ever have the ability to activate Lithiform Engine, so maybe something like this. Keeper Ball. Yeah. Alright. Again, the power of untapped lands has gotten me to keep this. I like that. So I'll play Temple of Malady next. And then I'll be able to produce all 5 colors of mana. I don't hate that either. This dismissal is being saved basically for Robber, since if the opponent plays Robber, I am getting robbed. But now the shields are going to go down. So we'll do this, and then next turn we'll have the mana to add the blue Sanctum and bounce something. And then if we're somehow still alive, we'll gain a bunch of life. Okay, okay. That could have been a more intimidating turn, honestly. And we drew into the Royal. Maybe we just kill the Bonecrusher Giant right here and worry about adding the blue Sanctum later. It's not like that necessarily advances our position. So yeah, let's add black and just intervention on the Bonecrusher Giant for 3, and then we can continue holding up the Stern Dismissal by playing Basic Island. 1, 2, 3. Kill that. Yep, take 2, gain 3. And go. I mean, this hand does an okay job of keeping my opponent off balance, but we're not really making any progress here. Though I would say if my opponent doesn't do anything this turn, that would be progress. Let's see what they got for me post-combat. Another Bonecrusher. I think taking 2 damage to Time Walk my opponent is pretty good. Spikefield Hazard? Yeah. So let's just do something that's kind of tempo positive here. Especially if their plan is just to play a 4-3 dope that doesn't Whoa. It doesn't have haste. Then it's kind of playing into my sweeper. Do not want that. Oh, I went out of my way to hold up half of the mana for this into the royal. That's not going to play. There's the robber. We've done a pretty good job divesting our hand, though. So now is it post-combat Bonecrusher Giant? And, as a related question, have we learned our lesson about what cast-off can hit? I will draw 2 cards. You know how good the red Sanctum would be here? Jeez. Maybe we just put a 7/7 on the battlefield. That seems better than most of the other things that we could do this turn. My mana, my lands in play already produce black, blue, green, white, and not red, right? So I think I want to play basic mountain this turn, and I'll pitch forest. I'll add whites. I'll play mountain. And I'll just put a 7/7 on the battlefield. Let's hope that shores up the ground for the moment. Opponent could just hardcast the Embercleave right now if they wanted to. With that on our radar, we must block the Bonecrusher Giant. Annex. Okay, so we're going to kill their giant and then hope to find another Realm Cloak Giant. Is that where we're headed? But Annex is going to make a whole bunch of tokens if we do that. So I guess the real hope here is that they put it on the Bonecrusher Giant. Everything kind of trades off, and we find some way to use Pestilent Haze, but this is an X3. I don't immediately see how we're getting out of this. They can just equip the Fervent Champion for free. We untap and draw a Shark Typhoon. I don't know what I need, but it's definitely cards. I found the Pestilent Haze. I can only play one of these tapped lands, so I guess we'll discard Temple. Choose black. Maybe bounce Annex and then Pestilent Haze. That sounds pretty good. So can I do it all? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but I probably should hold full control since I am doing this in an odd order. Let's cast this with Kicker, bouncing that. That's going to take 4 of the 6 mana out of my mana pool, and I can still have 3 for the haze. So submit. I will pay with red, and I'll leave 2 black voting. That'll be fine. And now this resolves. Annex goes away. I draw a card. I give everything -2/-2. I turn off full control, and we wipe their board. All right. Brazen Borrower. I mean, I'm going to draw a package of cards next turn, right? Like, this is worth multiple things, so I don't hate having an extra interactive spell. I'm dead to anything with haste, because they have the mana to play Fervent Champion and equip, or play Robber of the Rich and equip. We do get to untap. Sheesh, could we see the red Sanctum already? Let's pitch this one. Add some blues. I think we might have to hardcast this Shark Typhoon. Like, I can cycle it to make one thing, or I can hope to use it as an engine to make multiples. What are my other options? Like, I'm dead to a land if... I need to be able to answer both of these creatures. So one of them is going to have to get answered with Petty Theft, and the other one is going to have to get answered by blocking with a Shark. Now, the thing is that blocking the Ember-Cleaved creature with a 2/2 is not going to be good enough, presumably. So we need to find a way around that. So maybe it is just use this mana for Petty Theft, and we'll bounce Annex, I guess. And then they'll make a land drop and swing in with like a 3/4 double strike, and I'll block with a 5/5. Fireblade Charger. If equipped, this has haste. What do you know? It's equipped. But on the plus side, they do not appear to have the land drop. On the minus side, what is in their hand that they don't have the land drop? If it's a Bone Crusher Giant, I'm dead to this thing's text. So I want to make this at least a 4/4 to avoid trample damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could leave 2 mana up if I do that. If I go even any bigger than a 4/4, then they would presumably have to use its ability to clear the shark instead of going at my head. Maybe I'll make it for 5 and give myself the back door to a Stern Dismissal. I drew a land. If the card in their hand is Bone Crusher Giant, then this just goes at my head anyway. And if I had made a 6/6, this would go at the shark anyway, and that would clear the shark. So 5/5 versus 6/6 didn't actually matter here. I like that the opponent is puzzled about what to do. I also like that they apparently don't have a land drop, which means that Anax is not coming back down. This looks like a very juicy opportunity to clear a 5/5. I'm not surprised that my opponent took it. Red Sanctum, please. Another Brazen Borrower and an Into the Royal. I like all of that. So we'll pitch. I guess the question is, how much blue do I have? 2. I have 3 sources that can create blue, so I can do everything I want here. This is what my mana is going to get used for. I have 7 total, so that should be fine as well. I don't think I'm getting any closer to cycling this Untitled Triome, but I guess we have to play towards that option. So I'll discard this, make blacks, play Sanctum, and hold up interaction. Sure. I mean, ultimately, I don't mind if my opponent has a 1/1, an 0/1 in play. I kind of want to just Enter the Royal to Embercleave, because that's the more awkward thing to have to sequence in when they're trying to cast it again. And we know they have an Embercleave, so that's not... Oh, there's the Stern Dismissal. It's not like they're going to get us with it. That is, in fact, now on our radar. And I do have the opportunity to cycle this, so let's do that. Into another Into the Royal, and my opponent has decided that me gaining 3 life each turn is too much. Let's go to game 3. I like how we sideboarded. Let's run it back. All right, we're going to have to win this one on the draw. And the 2 cards that I most want to see are in my hand, the black and red Sanctums. So I think we're going to keep this one. Unfortunately, the way my hand is set up right now, we're going to have to go swamp to get both of these out on time. Playing a blue source to turn on my bounce spells is relevant. Okay, we get robbed. There goes our Brazen Borrower. That's actually pretty annoying. Should have thought a little bit harder about that. I mean, I could bounce it. That doesn't do anything. I think we just play Sanctum and accept that we're getting robbed again. If they want to spend their turn bouncing my Sanctum of Stonefangs with the Brazen Borrower, that's just totally fine with me. That's a waste of time. They had a land of some sort. It was an Untitled Triome. May add Bone Crusher, sure. Okay, Mountain is nice. Mountain represents another color of mana. So we have some options. We could get Embercleaved. I would prefer not to get Embercleaved. I don't think that I'm going to run out the Sanctum when I can't activate it, since I have so many lands in my hand that I'm ready to pitch. I think it's better to use one of my interactive spells. Killing the Brazen Borrower makes sense. The Robber the Rich makes sense since it's giving them card advantage. However, when I play Sanctum Activate next turn, I'm only going to have 2 Sanctums in play, so I'm not going to be able to kill a 3 toughness creature. So let's just Soul Sear this thing right now. And then we could fetch Plains or Forest and start chucking bolts or shocks. Fervent Champion. They do not have the mana to Embercleave me this turn. They hit Sanctum of All. Well, now we are starting to get into the situation where if my opponent plays my spells, I do have bounce effects to get them back. Let's see if bouncing the Sanctum of Stonekeep is what they want to do. Stone Fangs, rather. I still can't believe that that's a strong play for my opponent. I'm definitely playing an untapped land, and given that I'm playing an untapped land, it might as well be a Plains. Have I lost my basic forest? I didn't notice it. Okay, so what are our options here? If we play Sanctum and Chuck, we could still get Ember Cleaved, though we would only get Ember Cleaved for 11, and it would take their entire turn. If we play Sanctum, we can't activate. And if we play Into the Royal, we can't kick. So it seems like this is the only reasonable play. Now I could also add the Sanctum, but I think we're going to save that for next turn. I think killing something is more important. And given that we're going to kill something, it should presumably be the robber, and it should happen before they attack. I can't imagine that I'm going to get like blown out by an Infuriate here, but at the same time, why get blown out by an Infuriate when you don't have to? I have both Mountain and Swamp on the battlefield, so this Temple of Malice is redundant. So next turn I can place the white Sanctum and then kill the Bonecrusher Giant. They had Relic Robber. Okay, that is what it is. I'm going to have a Chandra Emblem in effect, but that can get into the Royal if I need to. Sure. Relic Robber is a rogue, so that turned on these cards that were exiled with Robber of the Rich. I go to 5 and draw. Drain 1. So that's a Zagoth Triumph. That's not a Fabled Passage. That is an important difference. Then I think the plan is... Brazen Borrower is also a rogue in case they ever want to cast the Sanctum of All. So if I play the Sanctum here and chuck 2 things, I can kill both of these. This hits me to 1. I don't think I can leave the Relic Robber in play. Right, so my 2 options are play the white Sanctum and then chuck 1 thing, or just chuck 2 things, chuck both of these cards to kill their smaller creatures. So if I do that, I take 4, go to 1, go to 2, and then to 1. Yeah, okay, that's the play. And if they have anything that does anything, then I'm dead. This can't block, so I don't know, get in there. And we can clear this with Into the Royal. I don't know exactly how we're going to deal with the Bonecrusher Giant yet. I'll gain 2 life. Yeah, I don't think there's any way out of this. The other line of me playing the Sanctum and killing the Bonecrusher Giant would have left me with 2 Chandra Emblems at this point, and I don't think I could come out from under that while the opponent has 2 creatures in play. I could be wrong, but... the fact that this triggers on main phase is pretty frustrating. Alright, well... you gave me an emblem. Might as well die to it. Oh, I'm going to die to the Stomp. Yeah, that's fine too. Sure. Those games were closer than I thought they'd be. I will say that. We are 1-1. Let's go to match 3 in a minute.
All right, match number 3. We have won another die roll. I'm not complaining. Okay, maybe I'm complaining a little bit. Sure. So let's prioritize getting scries towards something that does something, and hopefully the Sanctum can pick off. So we have the ability to play some tempo, and then hopefully we can pick off some creatures. Ooh, an untapped land is very nice. Fabled Passage is another untapped land, and that should secure Wooburg for us. We can make black, red, green, blue, and white. Now, I could actually bounce that. I don't think that that's a very good idea since that's a cantrip. That, I believe, just does nothing against me. On the other hand, I believe that this red Sanctum does nothing against our opponent, so we're in kind of an equal situation here. I'm also not really feeling this Realm Cloak Giant against Esper or Confounding Conundrum. They add Pathway and ship it. So I think we're just supposed to play the black Sanctum, and if we run into a neutralize, we run into a neutralize, but we don't really seem to be able to play around a counterspell, do we? Omen of the Sun instead. That is fine. So probably some sort of like Doom Foretold or let's play the... Actually, I want to play the Fabled Passage here, and the logic for that is that I'm going to crack the Fabled Passage on their turn, so I never have two lands entering the battlefield at the same time. Probably they have Yorion going on in their deck. Maybe they have Dance of the Manse, also a possibility. Right now, these two soldiers will keep my life total in check at 20, but I'm going to slowly make some progress on theirs. So I hope. And we have the ability to tempo their Archon of Sun's Graces or whatever they happen to have going on. I don't know that we're going to win this value game, if that's how this turns out. I have to play another land, like it or not. And I should probably be pretty itchy with the trigger finger on these Stern Dismissals. Though, I mean, I don't know that I'm even going to get a target. Like, what does my opponent have? Probably like Brazen Borrowers, Omens of the Sun and or Sea. All of these things just generate value when they hit the battlefield. We really want to be playing against more Anaxes or Questing Beasts or something with these Stern Dismissals. Though I guess if they tap out for Doom Foretold, I can bounce it. That would feel pretty good. Yeah. I mean, put pretty good in quotation marks, because now I have to bounce it every turn for the rest of the game. Or I could use Brazen Borrower to run Interception, to run a block for us, but it still doesn't feel great. I like drawing another Sanctum. If we can find Sanctum of All, then I think we might be in okay shape, because we can sack something to Doom Foretold and then use Sanctum of All to recover it from our graveyard. And all of these Sanctums trigger on main phase, so like that would all be fine. Alright. Let's see how long we can stave off the inevitable here. They have a Drown in the lock, which has been turned on. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and petty theft this thing then. They must have some interaction for our Brazen Borrower, don't you think? Does playing this extra land like really help us? I guess does not playing it help us? I mean, it would give me the ability to chuck something, but the cards I'm expecting my opponent to have are like Yorion and Archon, and those are too big to get hit by a 3. Alright, so we'll just end step the Brazen Borrower, untap and sacrifice the Brazen Borrower. Keep the Sanctum drains going. Okay, we've drawn a backup red Sanctum. I like seeing that. I don't have double white. So they sack their Conundrum. And now they have to put a permanent on the battlefield. That can't be that hard, I assume. I'm going to tap one of their creatures. What else do I have to do with my mana? Yeah, there's the dance. So they can go on for a while here. I really cannot. I'm going to need to draw something pretty satisfying with my next draw step. And I'm already thinking that 3 of my mana is tied up in the red Sanctum. Yeah, that's not quite it. All right, I've seen enough. We were just going to lose all our permanents there. Okay. So I don't love Realm Cloak Giant. I don't love Pestilent Haze. I don't love the White Sanctum, but I can't cut it. That doesn't look very good. I guess the counterspells are where I want to start, and I like ECD as a way to at least answer one of these things. And we could potentially pair ECD with Stern Dismissal. Oh, no, we can't. With Into the Royal to do a bit of work on our opponent's board. So maybe we just bring in these, cut like Giant, a couple of Pestilent Hazes. I mean, I understand that plan B or C for our opponent is to hit us with a bunch of 1/1s, but at the same time, I feel like our way to beat that is just to drain them out and go way over the top. I don't know, playing all of these bounce spells feels bad without more counter magic, I think. Let's try to add a few more of these cancels. Cut like Lithoform Engine. Going down to one red or white Sanctum is a possibility in this deck. I'm just like a little afraid to do it because I don't want to have it get exiled somehow. That would be quite unfortunate. Alright, we will take the play. Realm Cloak Giant just loves showing up and doing nothing. This hand is not good. We have 2 Sanctums, which is nice, and I like having the black one in our hand against this opponent, but we do not have any way to cast either of them. I think we should ship it. Realm Cloak Giant, for the love of God. All I've learned from this video is that Realm Cloak Giant is atrocious. And it's clearly playing for the other team. It's attacked me. It's failed to destroy Bone Crusher Giants. It's just clogged my hand against a practically 0 creature deck. Well, if only I had known I was going to draw the White Sanctum. Could have sequenced this slightly better. At least... I was going to say, as it stands, I can't get drowned in luck. I guess I still can't. So we'll add this and keep scrying. If I add the Temple of Deceit next turn, then I could play Sanctum of All if I top deck it on time. Or we could just draw lands. So we'll plan to cycle Rogran Triumph here into a Brazen Borrower. Like, that's just not exciting. I understand that I could get Doom Foretolded, but what am I supposed to do about that with the cards that I can see? Was kind of hoping for the Blue Sanctum to draw me out of this a little bit. Confounding Conundrum resolves.
They couldn't side those out.
I don't think that my opponent took me seriously enough to sideboard.
Oh, fair. What does it say? Swag to bat? Swag tuba turn 2?
No, it's a 12.
Oh, why did it look like a T? Alright, swag tuba 12.
Give me something to royal.
Do the royals looking really bad?
Yeah, well, my deck has 12 bounce spells in it, so what am I supposed to do against the all-value enchantments deck? The only card I've stuck will tap creatures. We don't appear to be up against any of those.
Maybe bounce your own Sanctum just to draw a card. Probably don't do that.
No, I'm waiting for a Doom Foretold to show up. Palaka Predation. That's going to just whiff, so go for it. I mean, I don't actually hate bounce my own Sanctum here. I don't really want to bounce one of their cards, so...
Well, too bad. Here's a stern dismissal.
That one has to bounce their cards.
No.
We have 2 cards in graveyard, so they can't drown this in the lock. They could have, like, Jewelry Disruption or something.
Drown in the lock up.
Oh, no, they don't. This is a white land. That's a good point. We're not playing against Rogue, so I wouldn't expect them to have Lofty Denial. They could have Jawari Disruption, I guess. Or just straight up negate. I could have negate. Why have I drawn all Stern Dismissals and into the Royals? I did cite in 7 counterspells, right? Treacherous Blessing. Sure. Well, I ain't bouncing that one either. I mean, it's almost tempting to bounce one of their cards just to make them discard, but it doesn't really seem like that accomplishes very much. I'm going to hold the Swamp in hand as fuel to the Sanctum, though I don't know how it's possibly going to be relevant. Sure. Well, I'll just sit here for a while and then die. I think that's the plan. There's the Doom Foretold.
I'm not going to negate it.
No, I'm going to try to bounce it.
Sure.
Like if they fight over this turn dismissal, then I can counter back. But I don't want to make the first move on counter spells. Their reaction should be, sure, I'll just cast this next turn, like whatever. They have a counter spell.
Yeah, what is it going to do? Get rid of one of your... Really?
Alright, well, I'm not complaining, but I mean, none of this matters. Maybe if I drew Sanctum of Vault right there. But, okay, what does this do? Like, I can play a Shark Typhoon.
No,
I
would cycle
think we need to cycle
I'd make
it.
a shark.
Yeah, we'll put a 5/5 on the battlefield in a minute. Yep. I mean, the chances that they don't have some kind of... I mean, maybe they're like... They think that we're just playing 24 Sanctums and 36 lands. And aren't prepared for me to have a creature, but I somehow doubt that. Yeah.
Ugh. I guess you already knew they had Drown in the Lock, like, in their deck.
Yeah, and there's no reason for them to cut that. Sure. We're done here. Let's go to match 4. 1 and 2. That was awful. Match 4. So are we going to completely regress to the mean and lose all of our last coin flips? We'll find out in a minute. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest looks quite good if we can get it onto the battlefield. Let's keep this hand in hope. At least I can see something going well with this hand, whereas like when we had... Ooh, I like this. Alright, so no thanks to Brazen Borrower. Still looking for one more land here. When we had like 3 bounce spells and a bunch of lands, it's not clear where our hand was really going, but this could lead somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch... I also like that we're playing against red and green spells, so our bounce effects will probably do something. I need to fetch Forest. And we're going to have to take a turn of getting smashed by whatever they decide to do. Naya Beanstalk Giant. Is this just a weird adventures draw? Must be. Okay. So next turn we'll have access to 4 mana. 5 if we can find a land. Preferably a Fabled Passage or a basic. I would take pretty much any basic right now. But if we brick, I mean, I think we have to play a blue Sanctum in that case. So no, they play Omnath and Fabled Passage, and let's see how crazy they can go. I mean, they carefully doled out their other lands so that they could, wow, play Fabled Passage this turn. They don't have it. Okay, so our options are add the black Sanctum and bounce Omnath. Add the red Sanctum and shock Omnath. That doesn't seem particularly useful. Add the blue Sanctum and pray to God. I guess of those choices, add the black Sanctum and bounce Omnath sounds the best. But that also will give us an extra mana next turn. I don't want to let them just untap and play a land. So let's just get Omnath off the battlefield, make them commit 4 more mana to it, for sure. Though I guess it is tempting to do it in response to their land drop, to try to limit their ability to reach the money modes, the second and third ones. Alright, so now this turn we have the option between blue Sanctum and do nothing else, or red Sanctum and petty theft. Or we could just cast this thing off. I don't think that looks particularly useful though. Let's go for red Sanctum plus petty theft. And we're getting close to being able to kill this thing. Next turn we should be able to chuck the second Sanctum of Calm Waters at it. So maybe we'll make the other play this turn. So we'll let them play their first land and then surprise them with, that's fine, surprise them with petty theft on Omnath to try to limit their ability to, that's fine. So now are they going to play Fertile Footsteps and expect to get a whole bunch of mana? Because they're going to be sadly mistaken. It is exactly what's going to happen. Okay, you can get your 2 lands, but you're not going to make any mana off of it. So now they have 3 mana left over, which would be the right number to play the Bone Crusher Giant. We're not under the pressure that we were under from the mono red deck, so we can probably take a couple of Bone Crusher hits while we continue to set up our board, and at some point we'll have a spare mana that we can use with the red Sanctum to clear it. Just Innkeeper pass. Alright, so I'm going to have 6 mana this turn. I have to play this blue Sanctum at this point, right? We've waited as long as we're going to wait. So now I can dismiss the Edgewall Innkeeper if I want to. I could also kill it. I mean, I have a 4 damage burn spell in my hand here. And there's no reason to try to hold on to cards because the Sanctum of Calm Waters is going to give us a lot of card advantage. I don't know that I can really pick a fight over this Innkeeper, though, when they have a couple of other things in their hand that are very concerning. Like, if they want to spend their turn playing Bone Crusher Giants to cantrip, that's honestly okay with me. If they ever put a Petty Theft on the stack, I should just scoop, though. The real power from the Adventures deck is in doubling their Lucky Clover activations. If they go Granted for negate plus Ugin or something, that's right-click concede material, but playing out some 4/3s into my red Sanctum doesn't actually scare me. This is okay. Yep. I appreciate you using your mana this way, opponent. I don't appreciate you using your mana that way. Okay, so we should kill something. Maybe I'm just scarred from the last match where where Bone Crusher Giant just ran roughshod over us, but I'm killing the Bone Crushers here. Great. Just what I wanted, a Realm Cloak Giant. So we will make our land drop, which is a relief. I do not think that we're going to have time to lithiform engine. I mean, it's tough because I simultaneously don't have much mana, and yet I have a lot of mana. Since the Sanctum is actually going to put 4 in my mana pool right now. Like, I could... What did I just do? I clicked on green? I was clicking over here on my graveyard. And that's fine. You know what? Despite talking trash about it, I'm going to put the lithiform engine into play. And let's play a white source. I mean, this is worth an extra color. There's the 5th of the Sanctums. All right, we'll leave that on top. And, I mean, I could cycle into it right now, but I think that I want to hold up Stern Dismissal and or double activating the red Sanctum via lithiform engine. Here's Omnath again. Resolves. Let's see what they want to do with it. We can't copy the Stern Dismissal. Okay, you gain 4 life. Anything that was going to represent more mana to them, more land drops, was going to be a spell at that point, so I could respond once I saw that happening. Okay, so let's fire on the Bone Crusher Giant, discarding Triome. And then we'll engine copy it. And with the copy, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, so they can't even play a Beanstalk Giant this turn. Let's just kill Omnath. Lucky Clover 3, okay. We untap, draw that. I mean, I don't even know what... Realm Cloak Giant.
I mean, it kills the...
It kills the Inkbird, but that's not exciting to me. Let's toss it. And I presume we want blue this time. So let's put blue in our mana pool. We're going to play the white Sanctum this turn. Let's put a Shark Typhoon on the battlefield. Play Swamp to complete our 5-color array. Add this, make a 1/1. And just hope that we don't get Ugand. That is the plan. I guess I could have double Shark Typhooned.
You could.
I just didn't even think that was a line.
The extra 1/1 is better than keeping up the...
I definitely want Stern Dismissal and the ability to throw a 5-mana creature out there.
That's great if that's what they're spending their mana on and not like quadruple Fae of Wishes.
I agree with that. My turn. Okay, so then let's just go ahead and blast the Innkeeper finally. I don't have the mana to double the 5. Yeah, see, Stern Dismissaling this thing would give them a lot of action all of a sudden, so I don't know that I necessarily want to do that. Especially when just 2 pitches would take care of it. So then, do I think that I can kill my opponent? Alright, I have some regrets as to how I ordered these. I should have drawn the cards first, because that would have given me some information about whether or not I have the mana to spare to double the Sanctum of Stonefang's trigger. I As it stands, I don't think that I do. So we'll just 5 our opponent, draw 5 cards. There's Sanctum of All. I like to see that. I'm going to discard Realm Cloak Giant again, resolve this, and put, doesn't really matter, I guess black mana in my mana pool. I'm ultimately just going to play the Sanctum of All, make a 5/5. Add Plains. And pass with 2 activations up. I have the mana in my mana pool to cycle this, so I might as well do that as well. Okay. Next to combat. I guess there's no reason to attack for 1. This is a reasonable chump blocker if it comes to it. I don't even think I care about the 10/10. Giant Killer. That's amusing. The Giant Killer will not resolve. Wow, the opponent just scooped? What?
Why will it not resolve?
Well, all the copies were also going to target it. Unless they wanted to put 3 copies targeting their own Beanstalk Giant, it was not going to resolve. Okay, so I don't like Stern Dismissal. I just want to be able to fight over Fae of Wishes and Ugin. I think those are the cards I actually care about. Don't really like Pestilent Haze either. So that'll give room for adding Cancel. Whirlwind Denial must be for this matchup, otherwise I don't really know why it's here. I don't like Realm Cloak Giant much. What's the point of ECD if I have 0 creatures and 0 planeswalkers in my deck? Like, it's just a really expensive removal spell. I guess we try it like this. We've loaded up on counter magic as best we can. Is this not the ultimate sample hand? I'm gonna keep, but I'm probably gonna get smashed. That doesn't really help because I don't have the ability to create green mana, though now I do. Okay, that's a start. So I can potentially curve this on 4 into that on 5. I have no untapped lands. But I do have to play the Ketria Triome to set up for that. Like, what if I accidentally draw a basic? There are 8 in the deck. Wow. Opponent appears to be doing it. I'm going to bounce their Lucky Clover. I don't want them to Fertile Footsteps this turn. I'd like to buy as much time before that happens as possible. And I think putting the Sanctum of Stonefangs into play is just unnecessary at this point. It's going to drain them for 2. There's going to be a turn down the road where this green Sanctum will have nothing better to do, and then I'll just add black mana and put this onto the battlefield. Alright, we've limited them to Heart's Desire, or it would absolutely shock me if they had Rimrock Knight in their deck, but those are the 2 spells that they could potentially play. I don't think I win this game by just bouncing Lucky Clover over and over again. At some point, I have to do something. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Sanctum on the battlefield, and we're going to just brace for impact. They do not have white for Omnathing this turn, but they will after they Fertile Footsteps. Though now they don't have the quantity to play Omnath. Let's see if they have backup Fertile Footsteps. They do not. I draw white Sanctum. So I could just put Sanctum of All on the battlefield and again just kind of put my fingers in my ears. Another option is to play the white Sanctum and hold up Counterspell, or play the black Sanctum and hold up Whirlwind Denial, or play both of those Sanctums and just into the Royal the Lucky Clover to kind of limit them from doing something truly explosive. The only thing I'm sure I'm not doing is playing Lithiform Engine. Some part of me is like, well, you didn't come here not to just play Sanctum of All on turn 5, but I don't actually know that that's good. Like, the opponent did nothing with their 3 mana last turn, though. So if we put green, then it's going to be black, white, red, blue, green. Okay, let's do that. And we'll hope we can have a pretty big turn next turn where we catch up. Sanctum of All can go find the red Sanctum, and then we'll have some stuff to chuck. Actually, it should find the blue Sanctum. Retracted. It should find the blue Sanctum. Because I just need to find cards. I need land drops. The red Sanctum actually doesn't have any fuel. Alright, so here's Omnath, and now the question is, do they have Fabled Passage or land into Fertile Footsteps? Because that's where things will get pretty crazy. They have another Edgewell Innkeeper. That actually doesn't scare me that much. They gain their life and hit me for 1. Sure. Let's go find that blue Sanctum. We draw a land. I'll draw some cards. Alright, I like Fabled Passage. I guess I can discard the backup. I'm going to put 3 mana in my mana pool, huh? I think we just want to get as many things on the battlefield this turn as we can, and then we'll hold up into the Royal, or maybe even Whirlwind Denial. So like if I do that, I can play the Sanctum of Stonefangs, then I can use this for the Sanctum of Tranquil Light. I'll add... I can't do both, right? If I play an untapped land, I don't get access to both the Whirlwind Denial and the End of the Royal. But I guess the Fabled Passage will give me the flexibility to kick the End of the Royal if I wanted to, or potentially find white mana. This now costs 1 to activate. If they just untap and granted here, they can't pay, which I think is kind of funny. They can't pay for this either, so I think that's the plan. Oh, that just happened. I like that. They go to 28. And they add their Bone Crusher, draw 2 cards. That's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to fetch Plains and tap Omnath to try to hold my life total up a little bit. We're going to get the final... let's just do it now. We're going to get the final Sanctum to complete our set. So the Sanctum of Stonefangs is going to drain for 12 next turn. Get the red one. We draw Fabled Passage. Excellent. As long as I draw before I choose mana, this is fine. I don't have Lithoform Engine in on the battlefield here, but I will in a bit. So I'll draw my first 6. I found a negate. I like that. Let's discard Dance. I don't think an extra 6 really gets me anywhere. And now we add a bajillion mana. So I just want enough mana to put the Lithoform Engine on the battlefield. And I don't think I can do anything with the rest of it. I have all lands, which would typically be a problem, but I think that this is fine. So given that I have all lands, I'm going to use the mana in my mana pool from the Sanctums to just blast my opponent. So it's holding me up after each activation because it wants to know if I want to Lithoform Engine it, but I do not. So we're going to be able to pass the turn with 3 more bullets in the chamber. Sorry, with 2 more bullets in the chamber and a negate. I don't think I need to play a land. I would rather just have the ability to stop my opponent from doing anything if I could help it. And if I can engine the Sanctum next turn, that would end the game. I'm not going to be able to fight over Fae here. They'll still get one of the 2 cards. So I think that actually what I'm going to do is let the... Oh, I can fight, can't I? What if I negate this and then copy the negate? That seems cute. So we'll go for the copied granted, and then I'm going to copy my own negate and go for the original granted. And that'll do it. 2 and 2. Match number 5. Those are some bounce spells. And the opponent mulligans once and scoops.
Yay! You did it. They scooped the match.
They scooped the match.
I don't think that counts.
Why not? wait. I think that totally counts. The question is whether or not you could go 6 straight wins on the ladder. If people do crap like that those are wins. That counts towards getting your list published. I'm 3 and 2. So let's try to come out with a plus record here. Here we go. Okay, match number 6, and we did complete our 3-0 to 3-3 on coin flips, which is kind of sad. We have the 2 Sanctums we'd like to have and an interactive spell. This hand looks awesome.
You're complaining about coin flips when the previous match your opponent scooped the match?
They mulliganed once on turn 1 and in game 1 and scooped the whole match. Yeah, that is exactly what happened. I guess we'll just keep up max interaction here. Roglan Triumph probably is, some kind of adventures deck. Oh, Confounding Conundrum right off the bat. That is fine. Basic Forest does not make me think we're playing against a Doom Foretold deck. Wow, an untapped land to hit our Sanctum on turn 3. That is quite good. Unfortunately, we won't be able to hit our Sanctum on turn 4, since we cannot play and crack this Fabled Passage without getting conundrumed. Though I guess if I really wanted to, I could bounce it, maybe using the Sanctum mana next. Oh, I have Sanctum mana. What am I talking about?
You got it there.
Why would I use the Sanctum mana to bounce this? I could just play my own Sanctum with it. Okay. Well, opponent has set up with their ramp element. I've set up with my ramp element. The footsteps are quite fertile on their side. Realm Cloak Giant, why? I mean, if I had drawn Shatter the Sky, I wouldn't feel very good about that either. Alright, so I'll play Sanctum of Calm Waters. And now the thing is that I should play Fabled Passage. Ooh, wow, we got disputed. I should play Fabled Passage because that gives me the ability to hold up Stern Dismissal, but at the same time, I really don't want to fetch another basic island. That's, like, quite bad for me, so I'm just going to let it go. Basic Forest on top. I think I need to find action now. Kenrith. Alright, well, that is a 5/5 with haste for effectively 6 mana. Ouch. I don't have a white source in play, which is kind of unfortunate. So I can't actually cast off this turn without having a land get bounced. So that's not really the end of the world. Into the Roiling Kenrith does not appear to do very much.
I like killing it. Too late.
Though roiling it at the beginning of combat is okay. The problem is that they could, I guess, play a Beanstalk Giant and activate. Whoop. I think this is fine. They can't play Beanstalk Giant and activate if Kenrith's not on the battlefield.
Yikes.
Well, I can't Stern Dismissal that. 2 bricks. 2 Lotus Cobras and a Terror.
I don't know about bricks. They were probably escaped the wild.
Yeah, but at least they weren't lands, right?
Yeah.
Like that limited.
You probably have to Wrath here, right?
I think I do have to Wrath here. So let's just take a peek at what's on top of my library. No thanks. And I will cast these creatures off. And we'll still have Stern Dismissal at the ready. So we'll see if one of the 2 cards they drew, was another Genesis Ultimatum. In fact, it was. They find Omnath, a bunch of lands, and a Confounding Conundrum. Well, I can't really do anything about this.
You can still play and activate the Kenrith.
Yep. But that appears to be the end of their mana this turn. They're going to Fertile Footsteps for a superfluous Omnath trigger. So that means that Omnath is not going to have haste. I mean, I'm not bouncing a Confounded Conundrum.
Which of their cantrips would you like to bounce? Oh, none of them.
Yeah. Dance of the Manse, you say. They countered my blue Sanctum, right? So I could go get that if I cast this X is 4.
Is that good?
No. Is playing a 7/7 good? They're just going to presumably play some combination of Kenrith and...
Yeah, you're, like, very dead.
Right. Okay, then in that case, let's just go out with the Sanctum. The way the deck wanted to go out. Escape. They hit all lands in a Lotus Cobra. I'm a little surprised they didn't Cobra first.
Oh, whatever. They've got this many different ways.
Okay, so let's just run it through. That's 6, and then they play a Kenrith and attack with it. Yeah, okay. It is still Adventures. I'm expecting them to have some sort of Lucky Clover. Mystical Dispute main, huh? I wonder if they felt like they got enough value out of it, countering my Stern Dismissal and my Sanctum of Calm Waters to leave it in the deck. Pestilent Haze kills a bunch of Lotus Cobras. Like, it would be fine. I don't really want to draw multiples. I don't really want to draw multiples of Realmcloak Giant either. Why do you think this Sublime Epiphany is in the sideboard?
I have no idea. That was nice art.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Whirlwind Denial in that it can counter Granted and a copied version of Granted, but I don't get it. I do not get it. Yeah, no. Okay. All blue cards. Man, I really want to keep the 2 instants. I don't think I can afford to have the Shark Typhoon in my hand. I'm in for that. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get up the mountain here, but I want to draw lands and counter spells and bounce things, and that's what this hand is hopefully going to do. Sure, let's keep scrying. Negate, that's fine. So are they just holding up a counter spell? I don't know if I want to run Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest, whatever it's called, into a Mystical Dispute here. I unfortunately do not have Cancel Up. They do nothing and discard to hand size. Discarding Ugin. Well, that was okay. So they must have interaction. I can't believe that they're just sitting on like 4 copies of Omnath. Now I do have Cancel Up. You know what? Just go. Sure. Temple of Silence is the 5th color of mana. And Fabled Passage on top. Well, now they're probably going to cast something, right? I really want them to just get planes, play Omnath, I cancel it, and then I put a Sanctum on the battlefield and still hold up cancel. Sorry, still hold negate. That sounds good. That sounds like the kind of exchange that we're going to have against this deck. They start with Lotus Cobra. And they've not made a land drop. Alright, let's see if it's Cobra into Omnath. That's all they got. Then If we're getting disputed, we're getting disputed. Let's do it this way. Now it just happens. I draw Fabled Passage. Now dispute is down as far as the green one is concerned. But I can also play this green one and hold up cancel if I do it right. So that makes blue, that makes blue. So let's just use the mana from the left 3 lands to put this on the battlefield. They have straight up negate, because I'll straight up negate back. Alright, it happens. Alright, go. Cobra again. You know what? I'm gonna pick a fight over it this time. I mean, they've had several turns to draw a land to activate this. Obviously, they just went Cobra Go last turn. If they want to mystically dispute this, that's totally fine with me. I don't think they're going to do much this turn, and I should have an okay follow-up, putting a bunch of stuff on the battlefield and still having negate at the ready. So is this going to lead into Fertile Footsteps? So they could put white in their mana pool and then red. I mean, they could. No. It's just another Cobra. That's fine. I draw Swamp. So let's make sure we get the Sanctum of Calm Waters out first. This seems fine.
What they had was another Cobra. Well, they must have a counter of some sort, because otherwise they shouldn't have cracked the Fabled Passage.
Yeah, they seem to have wanted to leave up something like negate. Alright, I've done what I can do. I could have played the Fabled Passage to get white, but this is not close to being active.
Now they go land ultimatum. Oh, just terror.
Just a Terror of the Peaks. So here's where drawing into the red Sanctum would be quite good. I want to see what cards I draw before I decide what color of mana to make. 1, 2, 3. We found a Royal, and we also found a Pestilent Haze to clear the 2 Cobras. So that all sounds okay. There's nothing of relevance in my graveyard. I can't imagine Dance of the Manse is going to become relevant this game.
No.
I'm going to pitch it. Let's just go 3 blacks and kill their Cobras. And then play Fabled Passage. And they scoop. Okay. I wonder whether they thought I had anything that did anything in my hand, because I did not. All right. I don't think that it's getting any better. I think we could play Soul Seer against Terror and Omnath. We could play Erebos' Intervention, which give us the ability to kill something slightly larger that a Pestilent Haze can't kill. It also interacts well with Terror of the Peaks because it reduces the thing's power. So if you do it with the Terror on the stack, you can avoid the triggered ability actually dealing you any damage. And I cut the Lithoform engine because I think on the draw, there's just not going to be time to play it. Or if we get to the point where it's relevant, we must have so much mana and so many Sanctums in play that it's just going to be fine. Well, there's 4 Sanctums, but that means there can't be very many lands. I'm going to ship this. No blue mana for the end of the Royal. This hand is bad. But I think we just have to hope that we scry out of it. I'm going to put the Dance of the Manse away. I mean, I need some combination of both cards and lands to assemble anything with this deck, so I don't feel like I can very easily go to 5. I like that we are not facing down a Lotus Cobra, so let's not give our opponent any information about the Scribe before we play the Sanctum. I already have this. And I can't cast the one I have, so I don't really want another one. Fertile Footsteps. Yep. Did all of their Beanstalk Giants have the fancy looking showcase frame. Go away. Showcase frame. The opponents are blending together. Or maybe it's that the actual card does, but that activated ability does not. Wow, that was a top deck. I don't know that I want to just run Sanctum into a Mystical Dispute, though. But I like having blue mana, where I did not have blue mana previously. This is a Rogran Triumph, so they could play Omnath or Escape to the Wilds or anything like that. I guess I want to give myself the ability to get my other island so that I can kick into the Royal. But I am still comfortable just sitting here if my opponent is. However, unlike the previous game, I don't really have a way to beat Beanstalk Giant if they just play it. I guess I can start tapping it now. It's kind of the real long-term plan. So they were waiting to play this with Negate up, I guess? Let's find out. Yeah, that is what was going on. Alright, well my other lands cast Sanctum of All, so I'm going to go get Island and continue the fight. I'm just going to counter the Escape to the Wilds again. I'm always afraid on Arena of clicking on the wrong negate. So then we play Sanctum, add Temple, and I'm just looking for action at this point. We have Into the Royal for their Beanstalk Giant. If they just want to play a 7/7 this turn, they're hovering on it. Lotus Cobra, sure. I don't think I have double black. This Pestilent Haze is not on. Wilt.
You could bounce it. I don't know if that's worth it.
Yikes.
Pretty bad to lose your card draw, though.
Yeah, I think I'm going to save it. I wonder if they're going to let me. Maybe
Wow.
that's going to get disputed. Okay. Well, and that all happens. I draw a Temple of Malice. We're back on tapping Lotus Cobras as our plan. I mean, the thing is, like, this Sanctum is a shrine, but what does this accomplish? I think I should try to find something else. I don't really know what, but something else. I feel like the opponent has really diluted their deck by putting a card like Wilt in it. Plan A would probably have destroyed me if they just played... Sure. Omnath and Bone Crusher Giant, etc. Yep, your Lotus Cobra has Trample and Haste. We should probably use the green ability. Okay. Not as cool as well. So if I spend one Into the Royal, at least cantrips.
Yeah, I'd probably keep it. I don't know.
I could spend 1, 2, 3 mana Pestilent Hazing away the Lotus Cobra, and then I still have 5 mana left over to activate this thing.
Yeah.
So, I obviously can't Pestilent Haze their Beanstalk Giant, so this is like what I got. Do they have 2 green activations up? They do have 2 green activations up. Well, this was never going to work then. At the same time, what was I ever going to do with a Pestilent Haze? Are they just going to draw a card? Okay. I mean, that's still quite good. But I feel like just blowing out my spell for no cards invested would have been pretty good too. This is also pretty good. They found Omnath, a land, and 3 non-permanents. How are those wilts treating you? I mean, I jest. Obviously, the opponent's playing Kenrith over there, and I'm playing Sanctum of Tranquil Light. Yep. Well, now that they have... I guess I'll let them wilt my last. Sanctum, and then I'll scoop. Or... I mean, they have a mystical dispute at the ready, but I don't know what I can do except try to find something to cast this turn. Make them replay the 5-drop instead of the 4. Oh, just straight up negate. Alright, I give up. I will happily take a 3-3 with this deck, though I was honestly impressed with how competitive it wound up being.
I think if you took this deck, got rid of some of the like 12 bounce spells and replaced them with more flexible sort of interaction, it would maybe be improved.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up the deck and talk through how I felt about it. Ultimately, I was unimpressed with how redundant Stern Dismissal into the Royal Brazen Borrower were, and Realm Cloak Giant just is not the answer. So, I don't know, maybe the pilot felt like there was something wrong with playing Shatter this guy, but this card misses so much and is just awkward to have in your deck as a 7/7 sometimes. We saw it get clobbered by Zareth San. I always wanted counter spells. Like, that was the way I wanted to keep my opponent off balance. I didn't want to let them resolve spells, since all the cards in Standard do something when they hit the battlefield. So I wonder if we could upgrade these cancels to neutralizes, put negates in instead of Stern Dismissals, maybe find some way to play a couple more untapped lands. I don't know exactly what that looks like. Possibly playing Lotus Cobra to go along with our Fabled Passages or something. Maybe there's actually something here. This is what I'll say.
Yeah, I was wondering about Lotus Cobra as mana fixing and a little bit of acceleration. It's obviously not like on plan, like specifically with the Sanctums, but you're playing a 5-color deck.
Is Stern Dismissal on plan with Sanctums, though?
I feel like
you should probably be taking advantage of it. Actually, the only Zendikar Rising card in this whole deck is Into the Royal, which I find kind of wild. I guess Souls... No, it's M21. So yeah, it's just Into the Royal. Possibly using some of the new cards as extra land drops as well. Like, missing lands was so bad with this deck, and if you could play tapped single color lands or pathways over some of these temples to
the lack of pathways is pretty striking.
To be able to hold lands in your hand for Sanctum of Shattered Heights seems like it would be big game. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this experiment. I think science has been done. I'll be back next week with another pile of cards if they keep publishing piles of cards. See you then.